This is Elizabeth Wood, and I'm so glad to introduce you to my dear friend Victoria Moore, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing before. But now, of course, is a new time. It's a special time. And Victoria is going to really help us to understand why this time is so precious. So thank you so much, Victoria, for joining us on this New Earth conversation. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. So I just love this beautiful concept you've brought to the table that a lot of people are very flustered at the moment. They're getting pulled in all directions with information. They're finding themselves truly confused.
Mm,
They're spinning out. As
mhm.
we often like to say in mysticism, people will spin out. They get pulled in different directions and polarities, and their internal relationships are in a tumult. Everything seems to be in a large, chaotic mess. But at the moment, you are teaching and sharing the concept that this jumbly soup is actually the most precious time for creation. Can you elaborate on the concept of the chrysalis and how we got to this sort of
Yeah.
primordial chaotic soup mess and what we can do?
Perfect description. Well, it's not like we screwed up so badly that we got ourselves in this primordial chaotic mess. The way I look at these things is, and my perception and my experience is that while it may look like something really awful has happened on the planet, and oh gosh, there's this agenda and that agenda, this responsibility, all kinds of places to blame, people to blame, circumstances to blame. But actually, it wouldn't be happening if it was not in the highest destiny, or dharma, to use the Sanskrit term, for humanity. And the way I see it is that we have functioned at a certain level. We have functioned primarily from our minds. We have functioned, that's third dimension. That's, if you're thinking chakras, that's third chakra, the solar plexus. And that's happened for thousands of years. And we, as humanity, are slated for a serious upgrade. And what's happening right now is what's necessary for that upgrade to happen. Um, for many years, we've talked in the mystical and spiritual world. We've talked about how a caterpillar goes through a stage where it's a happy little caterpillar, and it's eating leaves, and it's scooting along the branch, and all of a sudden, it takes hold of a branch, goes into this chrysalis phase, and then comes out a butterfly. We've talked about this in terms of personally with your evolutionary process. You'd be bumping along, and you'd be having experiences, and you'd be learning things, and all of a sudden you crash. You have like a dark night of the soul. And but if you can go with it, you find you come out on the other side in a more advanced or a more evolved state of consciousness. Well, this is happening at a really global level right now. This situation, when it started, it was very clear to me. We were in a reset. We were starting a reset. But now this has gone on for months and months, and everybody, people who've never meditated, as well as people who are longtime spiritual seekers or advanced mystics, we are all in the same position, which is that we don't know what's going to happen next. And the mind, right? Remember I said we've been functioning as a mental body. Well, the mind is not happy with that. The mind would rather make up stories, disaster stories, apocalypse stories, whatever, so that it can feel like it knows what's happening and it's in control. And what I see is that we are in a stage right now where we've talked for years about being present. Well, guess what? That's all you can do right now is be fully present. We can't be focusing on the past other than to the extent that we know it's not looking like things are going to go back to the way they were. We can't focus on the future because we have been having an experience day by day by day that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when, the virus or whatever will have run its course. We don't know how much longer we'll have to be wearing masks or whatever. We just don't know. And that's the state of being in the chrysalis, being in the soup. When a caterpillar, I'm sure, if you asked a little caterpillar, just as he kind of, he followed his innate guidance to sequester, right, on that leaf or that twig or whatever. But if you were to tell that little caterpillar, guess what? You are going to be completely morphed into something else, and you're going to have to sit there and let yourself be completely turned into formless mush for some period of time. I don't know how many, you might have a lot of caterpillars jumping off the twig and suiciding at that point. But, they have this little inner knowing because they're such an innate part of nature that they have to go forward with it.
Yeah.
Well, we are now. We are in this phase where all of the events and the activities and the beliefs about what happens next that were the parameters of our reality, poof, gone. They're just gone. And so what I keep encouraging everybody to do is to make peace with being in the unknown. Because basically, if you are looking to awaken and you're looking to go into the higher states of samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, let's say, that's where you are going, is into the void, the total unknown. Unknown. It's there. It's prior to frequency. There's nothing, right? So this is like a similar kind of experience in that we're in this void space where we don't know how long it's going to last. I mean, and it's interesting because Spirit has, really made this real for me. I live in South Africa, and I came here for a short visit. And I went to visit a friend of mine, my friend Lucia, in Ecuador at the beginning of March. And I left one world and I came back to an entirely different world. And I just got out of Ecuador a day before they closed their borders. Yeah. And I got back to the States, and I don't have a home in the States anymore. So I have been in some ways essentially homeless. And I have, I've had places to stay. And right now I have a lovely little pretty postage stamp of a place to stay. But I have no idea when or if I'll get back. So I have actually gotten to live in a very visceral way what I'm talking about. It's like day by day. All we can do is be very, very present. And in being present, we are being given an opportunity to actually become very authentic, very real, and begin to know who we are beyond all of those parameters that we identified ourselves as before. So it's amazing, fantastic time. And rather than, and it's very tempting, of course, to latch on to one theory, one agenda or another. And boy, they're being pushed really hard. But if we can just remain in the I don't know and be open and available to all possibilities, we are actually taking the mystical path that honors our capacity to co-create reality. Now that's a very big topic. It's been slung around in spiritual and mystical circles for a long time. I don't think I can't even begin to, speak to it because it's a much vaster and much grander situation. But suffice it to say, if we are open to all possibilities, we are actually allowing the divine spirit, that who we really are, to participate in manifesting whatever is highest. I guess I have a trusted relationship with spirit, with the universe. Um, 50 years of meditating and lots of spiritual study and lots of egoic processing work contribute to that capacity. But the energies are such now that anybody who's willing to just go, okay, let me take this time to really get real with myself and be really authentic and and allow for all possibilities. Allow that, instead of that polarity of hoping for the best and fearing the worst, just go, okay, whatever happens, it is in Spirit's design. It is in the divine design. And so I think this chrysalis time is amazing, fantastic. I don't think it's all that close to being over, I would have to say, because until you can get comfortable with it, it's not going to shift. The more we rebel against it, there's a lot of that rebel going on these days, but the more we rebel against it, the more we go, it's going to stop. That is, it's going to, there's that saying, what you resist persists. It's kind of like that. I think the lesson for humanity is to trust, to evolve that relationship with the divine, trust the divine, and be open to what the potentials are. You could just take an example of, I was doing a session with somebody who works in the school system, and she has two young boys. And she was kind of bemoaning the fact that they're having to wear masks and they're having to be behind plastic, and they can't play they don't have recess play time where they're, uh, wrestling around and all of that. And she was, kind of worried about their inability to communicate. And I said, well, yeah, but maybe there's a new level of communication. Maybe their innate capacity to communicate psychically will be fostered. We don't know. We don't know. We do know that we have found that, pretty much everything that runs the world can be done on Zoom. And, there are just all kinds of possibilities that being willing to be in the chrysalis will make us available to. So, and I don't think I'm speaking in any airy-fairy way. I think that it's just, I know that the human being is capable. We have so much more in us. We have the knowledge of the universe in every single frigging cell. And this is an opportunity here, a golden opportunity to move into our next state of consciousness. Homo luminous is what one of my friends calls it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that was Leslie's term for it, Homo luminous. Um, and I feel like that's why we're here, is to, you know, support that, support that. But at a practical level, what's the best thing we can do? The best thing we can do is get okay with the fact that we don't know. And rather than hook on to some story about what's going to happen, bad or good, just be available and trust. Trust in the divine. Trust in ourselves.